right, I'm going to cut across to Prime Minister Modi, who's in Qatar, meeting with the Emir of Qatar right now, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad al-Tahni. Modi and Tahni's meeting, a bilateral meeting to discuss several avenues to boost both economies. In fact, Prime Minister, who had met him a little earlier as well, he landed just yesterday into Qatar and speaks of how wonderful his discussion was. It revolved around ways to boost India-Qatar friendship. This is what Prime Minister has put out on his X platform. Now, live images that we're showing to you right now of him meeting with the Emir of Qatar. This meeting, remember, comes in the sidelines of 8 of India's former Navy veterans who were sentenced to death in Qatar for espionage. They were not only, death sentence was not only quashed, they were also released with immediate effect and sent home. In fact, the Ministry of External Affairs, India, ensured that 8 of those veterans were freed, and this came at the command, of course, of Qatar's Emir. And this surely now represents that notable diplomatic achievement for India. Prime Minister Modi, India's equation with Qatar out on full display. With this meeting, also further emboldening ties between the two nations. Very significant, right after the ex-naval officers came back home to India after they were released. Here is a meeting with Prime Minister Modi, between Prime Minister Modi and the Emir of Qatar, where discussions around how to boost both the countries' economy, economic gateways for both countries. Discussions on with Prime Minister Modi right now, meeting with the Emir of Qatar. Geeta Mohan with us. Geeta, over to you. Give us more on how significant is this meeting with Prime Minister Modi and the Emir of Qatar on the sidelines of 8 of our former Navy personnel coming back home free?
Well, a very significant meeting between the Indian Premier and the Emir of Qatar. The fact that it comes, like Nabila rightly pointed out, it comes right after the 8 ex-Indian naval officers were released, 7 of whom are back in India. But it's not just about that. India and Qatar have been engaging for a very long time now on various aspects, including energy. There's a major oil deal that the two sides were looking at just ahead of them. And now we're looking at more economic cooperation, strategic cooperation between the two sides. Security is going to be an important that take place. Why? Because India is a major stakeholder in Afghanistan. Qatar is where the Taliban are, the erstwhile leadership was based out of. And now we're looking at Qatar also playing a very important and major role in the conflict between Israel and Hamas, between Israel and Palestine. So as a mediator, as peacemaker, as a negotiator, Qatar indeed plays a very important role, and that certainly will be part of the conversations. But this visit is important. It comes right after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's planned UAE visit, and the fact that he, before returning to India, made that visit to Qatar clearly shows that there is a message of gratitude for having paid heed to the highest level of engagements where an appeal was made for the ex-Indian Navy officers and their release. Remember, it was after or during COP28 in Dubai, on the sidelines of which the two leaders had met, and after which the death sentence was commuted of the 8 individuals. And then we now hear of the release. So it's not just a diplomatic win for India in terms of diplomats working over months and months to seek their release, but the fact that the engagement was at the highest level between India and Qatar, and that now has culminated into this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Doha and the meeting that we're seeing right now between the leadership.